We're set volume wise. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We will get started and call the Regional District Okanagan-Similkameen regular board meeting to order. Reminder, this is an opportunity to remove anything from the consent agenda if there is a desire to do that. Seeing no hands on that, looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved, seconded, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the consent agenda, corporate issues. Looking for a motion to adopt. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. There is no consent agenda, development services, so that takes us to B1, development services, CAO.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So we have an application to the Agricultural Land Commission for a non-farm use for an agricultural property that has an eating drinking establishment on it. And what their intent would be to either and it's an existing use. So their intent would be to continue operating the eating drinking establishment on an agricultural property. And we didn't see that fitting in with the principles that the board has with regards to agricultural properties. So we're recommending that it not be authorized to proceed. And if it did proceed, it would have to come back for either a rezoning. Really, it's a commercial use. So it would have to come back for rezoning or a temporary use permit. So we're recommending against it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Director Canola for direction on this. It's in your area.
To the chair, I'm going to recommend alternative number one, that this go forward. I did send a letter out to the members of the board, and hopefully you had a chance to take a look at it. The piece of property is 0.926 of an acre, so it's hardly a viable agricultural piece on its own. But what the proprietor here is actually turn this into a very interesting occupation that's done more for agriculture and making awareness in agritourism than any other single motion I can think of. So I'm hoping that the board will see fit to move this forward. This particular occupation has been featured in 18 different publications right across North America, including National Geographic Destination, the Toronto Star, Lux Magazine. So this is a very prominent business, very much dedicated to the agriculture of the area. The center on produce grown here, and even to the point of the Arctic char farm here, that's one of their primary meats. So they're very much centered on this area, and I think it's very much an attribute to agriculture, the whole area, and I'd like to see it go forward to the LC for their decision on this. So therefore, I'm making alternate number one. Thank you.
Okay, there's a mover, a seconder for that. Thank you. Discussions, Director Obrick?
Yes, and thank you to the chair, and thank you to Director Knodel. I agree. I see this as incidental to the primary purpose of agriculture. I've been to the property, I've toured it. In the last 2 years, I have had numerous contacts. This is, in my experience, unusual. I've had numerous contacts from winery owners, from concerned community members inside and outside electoral area D in support of what really is the future. This is a very small holding, as Director Knodel notes. It's a family business, but it's agriculture at its best. Mulberry trees that you can't take mulberry berries to market because they perish, but this is a place where you can have a meal and the mulberries are in the meal. The honey, if you listen, it's educational. The bees are on site. The produce, and it is to keep uses agricultural, you have to support the property owner's rights to be able to earn enough money. It reminds me of the winery industry, which long ago got the variance to permit what we call a farm gate. They sell, they bottle their grape, they sell the wine on site. They might have a bistro, they might sell a hat or a t-shirt or a cup. And they're viable, and it creates jobs, and it attracts tourism, and it keeps the land agricultural. It's agricultural land. And it is incidental. It's ancillary. Now, if our laws need to be amended, I support that. But I think this is the future. It happens in Europe. It happens elsewhere. I'm 100% in support of this going to the ALC. Thank you.
Okay, Director McCordoff?
Thank you very much. I have eaten at this place. It's amazing. When you go in, you have a menu that is provided to you, 4 course, I think, and you're there for the evening. Chris, the owner, uses locally sourced meat, fish, vegetables, in season, fruit. He explains when he brings out a course, and he doesn't serve many people at a time. I think I was there a couple years ago. I think it's 12 or 16 or something. He explains what it is that you're eating, why you're eating it, where he got it from, how he's cooked it, and the kitchen is open so you can see exactly what is being cooked. It's a fabulous experience, and I'm very much in favor of allowing this to proceed to the ALR. I think it's a wonderful use of agricultural land, and if you haven't been, and I know they were closed down for a while, you'll never experience something like this again. So I would recommend that you all go at some point. Thank you.
Director Roberts?
Thank you. And as a follow-up, so eloquently said by Director Obrick and by Director Kordoff, value-added farming is a necessity moving forward. We're trying to enshrine that in our official community plan for Area G. So hence, just in principle, I am in support. We look at, as it was stated by Director Obrick, where there's so much that can be done on wineries, but you've got Bob's carrot farm, he can't have a carrot cake tea room. So much what we want to do is we want to see the next generation being innovative, living on the farm, enhancing the production of the agricultural product, but at the same time showing new and exciting and different ways of presenting said product to the customer. And we want to disengage ourselves and not be so tied up to a large wholesale process. We want to be able to also see sustainable food in our own areas. We've had a local winery in the Costin area that provided the bread for Costin during the COVID supply chain issue. And if it wasn't for them, a lot of people wouldn't have had bread. It was really challenging. So if we encourage and support these people that provide the food that we eat, and we encourage the expansion of appropriate, as it was stated, the restaurant itself, that's a very good explanation from Director McCordoff, where locally sourced, there's a lot of different principles and things that we could tie into it. It's not about having Burger King on a farm, you know. So again, I'm in complete support of moving this to the ALC.
Thank you. Oh, more hands. I'll go to Director Sentes first.
Thank you very much, Chair. Well, you know, as life transitions, and indeed it does, so often our rules and regulations don't keep pace. And I'm fully respectful that there needs to be rules and regulations. But I hope that there would be some opportunity for some flexibility. In my family's background, they have been farmers. And some of them have managed to survive, others have not. So I applaud this kind of entrepreneurship that looks at it in a way to sustain it. So I too, I fully support the comments that have been made, and I would hope that that there can be some ability. I always say to my family, I live in the gray zone. And sometimes things are so black and white, there's no opportunity for reality to come in. And I think this is a dose of reality. So I certainly support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Oberg?
Thank you, Chair, for permitting me to speak again to this. I got excited when I listened to Director McCullough and Director Roberts, and it reminded me of something I meant to say. This is from something I printed off the internet. It says, at its most pure, farm to table means the table is at its most pure. Farm to table means the table's actually at the farm. And the chefs prepare and serve the food there as well. Beyond being a unique experience, these meals feature the most local and seasonal food available, and that freshness contributes to how good they taste. But that also means those local farms benefit because they now have a neighbor farm that can feature their produce. So it's bigger than this one site. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further hands, I will call the question on this. Corporate vote, all those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to item B2, another one in electoral area C, CAO.
So there was a motion put on the floor at a previous meeting, Mr. Chair, to amend the zoning bylaw in Area C for a property at 479 Johnson Crescent that has acquired a number of animals, I think it's 8 to be exact, on a small property, and which doesn't meet the zoning requirements of the Area C zoning bylaw. So there was a motion put on the floor at the last meeting to deny the request for the rezoning. And usually when we have a motion to deny, we allow the applicant the opportunity to speak, which we didn't have at the last meeting. So the motion was deferred until this meeting so the applicant could be heard. So there already is a motion on the floor, Mr. Chair, to deny. And you could go ahead and invite the applicant then to address it.
Okay, thank you for that introduction. And I will check. Is the applicant online with us? Do you?
He's having trouble connecting and asking for a phone call, so I'm just trying to call him right now.
Okay, we're just making a phone call to the individual, and we will take a second to do that.
Hello,
Hello,
I'm here.
you can hear us okay?
I can, thank you.
Okay, well, welcome. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the board?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just said welcome, and would you have anything you'd like to say to us? It's just a brief outline of what you're asking.
Sure, I would love to. And am I privy to the information of if there's any public attenders at the meeting, or if it's just all board people?
I believe there may be a few members of the public in attendance, but
And streaming on YouTube.
and it's very possible they could be streaming on YouTube as well, or watching on YouTube.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, I think you've read my application and know my scenario. And
Yep.
It's unfortunate because I had lived here a year happily without any complaints or concerns. And I do understand that the bylaw is the bylaw. It's just unfortunate that, my whole life can change because of a complaint that everybody else was I had no complaints and everyone was in support of my situation except for a specific individual, and now my world is upside down. One thing I would like to, is a bit of a concern to me, and I don't know if it's appropriate to discuss that here, but there was a consensus that this would never ever pass, and I was wondering why I was given the application for, or the opportunity for the application, if it was never going to pass anyway.
Well, that's not a question I can really answer.
Okay. Okay, and that's okay. I'm just, yeah, so that was a concern of mine. And I guess other than that, my scenario, my miniature horses are smaller than my dog. So I'm not sure where the true concern is for being over the animal limit, other than the fact that I am over the animal limit. Like why it wouldn't be passed, because there were no prior concerns. There aren't any issues now that I see a reason for not passing it, I guess, other than it's strictly a bylaw.
Okay, well, I will ask the board if they have any questions they'd like to ask you. And
Okay.
I see one hand from Director Knodel. Go ahead. Or you're okay?
I'm going to speak to it after the questions are done, so yes.
Okay, no problem. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Seeing no questions, thank you for attending, and we will put it back in the hands of the board and see where it goes.
Okay, thank you.
So just a reminder, we do have the motion on the floor at the moment. It is a motion to deny. Any discussion on this? Director Knodel?
Yeah, just to make it known, there are a number of representations against this from the community. There's a number of reasons to deny this. A 300% increase in a very tight neighborhood. This particular property is on a hill overlooking the Willowbrook well aquifer. And there are already a number of residents in the area that are renting outside properties in order to accommodate extra animals. We're not suggesting to make her get rid of her animals. I have suggested to her that we would move to a TUP, identify the animals and allow them to, as they are quite elderly, there are not long for this mortal coil, if you will. So I believe the situation would rectify itself within a couple of years. So rather than being just hard-nosed about it, a TUP would serve the purpose and wouldn't trigger a whole bunch of applications for other people looking to save on exterior pad fees, if you will. It would open kind of a slippery door in this area. As I said, the property's on the hill. Right above Kearns Creek. Kearns Creek goes into the ground right at that area and is the aquifer for the Willowbrook well. And when we did the GARP study, there was considerable concern at that time for contamination of the well. And we were fortunate that we didn't have a problem with the existing animals at that time. So this could create a lot of ongoing problems for the neighborhood. And most of the residents realize that there's more at stake here than just one property. It would open the door for a number of them. So I definitely have to stand against the rezone, but I'm not against allowing her a system that lets her animals finish out their days here, if you will. Thank you very much.
Okay. And I had Director Gettens, you had a hand up as well?
No, well, actually, sorry, yeah, what I was gonna do, Chair, is just ask, the citizen if she was open to a TUP, but we might have done it.
We were already past that. I'll go to Director Kazakovich and then Director Oberg.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I like Director Knodel's statements of pursuing a TUP and letting the animals finish living out their lives. I'd point out that there are also letters of support for this property. So I think that there would be support for a TUP. And, you know, there's not enough people out there looking after animals. So, you know, I think we need to provide some direction to this individual and some support to not just have animals immediately removed from her property, but I do like what Director Knodel is saying, to allow a TUP to let them live out their lives, being that they are elderly animals. Thank you.
Okay, Director Obrecht?
Yes, and thank you to the chair, and like Director Kozakovich, I agree with everything she just said. I like that approach a lot. Before I was elected and before Area I was created, I was on the Advisory Planning Commission, and we would see matters like this come before us. And when you have a small residential community and somebody wants to put a lot of animals on there, and in that instance, the fellow was upset about his food security, and it was an interesting submission, but it, you know, the uses are there for a reason, and it's a bigger reason than a one-time, what sounds like a very good reason to have this use. And so you have to balance those things. I think Director Knodel is just dead on that we have to be very careful. But I like that approach. And my question is, you know, to staff, if TUP, is that a viable option here? Because it sounds like a good accommodation.
It could potentially work. Director Roberts?
Thank you to the chair. My quick question is in regards to this as a process. So if we carry on with the denying the application of rezoning, are we able to then put a motion forward, or Director Knodel in regards to the TUP as a follow-up, especially since he's stating in regards to the age of the animals, etc.
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Like,
Well, are we able to, he's asking whether or not the person who applies for a TUP, there's going to be a span of time where if she doesn't get the zoning, she's going to be in contravenance of the, so is there somewhere, how do you bridge that gap and get to the TUP?
I would suspect if they applied for a TUP if this was denied, there would be no enforcement action taken until the TUP is dealt with. Any further discussion on this? Seeing no hands. This one happens to be a rural vote, so I will call the question. All those in favor, and a reminder, this is a denial at the moment. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Any opposed? No opposition, so that motion is carried. So I would just throw it out there to the applicant that you're more than welcome to apply for a temporary use permit, and seems to be support for that. So.
You know what, I am in total agreement with that. I think that is, I'm getting a little choked up because it makes me very happy that that you have considered this. My situation isn't a situation where I have animals coming and going. This is a forever home, and these animals have been with me for a long time. So rehoming them, knowing their special needs, and physically and I would say behaviorally, emotionally, we have become to have a very harmonious life here. And I don't think the animals would survive a transition, especially at their age, and knowing how attached they are to each other as a home. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to let them live their lives out together, because that was the intention of this. It's not a business. It's not a rescue where I make money. I don't even accept donations. It's all funded by myself. And I wanted to give these unadoptable animals a forever home, and I do have the animal behavior skills to help them through what they've had to come through, so that they can live in harmony and peace and at ease with themselves and others, and that I'm the one that will, doesn't mind bearing the burden of putting my money into that. You know, I'm often called crazy, and that's okay because for me it's a good crazy. So I just want to thank you for exploring that other option. And I do have a question though. I have done a little homework because the TUP was brought up at another meeting. I know that my money is not refundable for this application, and then a TUP I believe is $1,500, and then should the animals outlive the time of the first TUP and another then if I have to apply for another, the expenses are quite considerably high, and I already have astronomical expenses and vet bills and feed bills and things like that that you can imagine. I'm wondering if there's any chance of a possible consideration for, you know, remuneration or anything like that.
That would be a possibility, I guess, but it would have to come as a request to the board for a reduction in fees or something along those lines. So give it some thought
Okay.
and get back to us. Thank you for
and then
looking at.
May I ask another question? This has been very hard on me emotionally, and I am just wondering how long, because this has been quite a long process now, and I've been battling shingles for the last 6 months due to this, and I'm just wondering, when do you think that with the TUP application, when would that be a possibility to come through to fruition and this all be settled?
I really couldn't answer that. It would depend on the workload of staff to a great degree, but I'm sure they would deal with it as quickly as possible, and a lot of the information will be transferable probably, so it should go quicker, but I can't make a guarantee to that.
Okay, would anybody have a possible guess? I know I can't expect any confirmed answers, but an estimate?
I couldn't hazard a guess at this point, but I would suggest you talk to your director Knodel on it, and he will probably be able to get you an answer to that effect. I do see a hand from him, so I'll go to him right now. Go ahead, Director Knodel. You're muted on us.
My apologies. This has already been past the APC, so it wouldn't have come back to them. They did recommend the TUP system, so it's pretty straightforward. It would come right to the board with no delay once the staff has dealt with it.
Okay. So,
and knowing that, Director Knodel, am I muted or unmuted? Can you hear me by any chance?
We can hear you.
We can still hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you, Director Knodel. Would you happen to have a guess at when that might be? I understand it might be a little bit difficult, but if I could have, it might put my mind at ease if I kind of have an idea of when we might be able to put this to bed, so to speak.
I would hazard. I would not want to hazard an estimation on staff's workload. I know that they've just come out of the EOC and are somewhat backed up, but I believe that they'd be able to move forward quite rapidly with this.
It's something he can inquire and get back to you on, if you don't mind.
That sounds great. Okay, yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
We will move on to item B3, another zoning amendment. CAO.
This is the adoption of the zoning amendment for the Okanagan bylaw, Mr. Chair, on mobile vendors, and we're recommending that that be adopted.
Okay, thank you. Looking for direction on this. This is for adoption. Someone willing to move it? Thank you. Moved, seconded. Perfect. Any discussion? I don't believe I'm seeing any hands. This is again a rural vote. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Brings us down to finance, the administrative overhead policy, CAO.
Mm-hmm. This policy was discussed at the last Corporate Services Committee meeting, Mr. Chair. The board chose between 4 alternatives, and we believe now that the policy is ready for adoption as amended.
Okay, direction on this one. You're moving it, I'm assuming? Thank you, a mover. Is there a seconder for it? Great, thank you. Discussion on it? It was discussed at committee, so seeing no hands. This is a corporate vote. I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to legislative services, and this is an appointment of the Technical Advisory Committee to the South Okanagan Conservation Fund, CAO.
Yeah, we're recommending the extension of appointments to that committee, Mr. Chair.
All right, direction from the board on this? A mover, thank you. Seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing no hands. Call the question. Again, a corporate vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on down to CAO reports. Your verbal update.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think I'll go right to the Karamias Creek wildfire if I could.
By all means.
The orders have all been lifted from the Karamias Creek wildfire event that has started on July 29th. Great work by BC Wildfire for sure, but many different partners that were involved. We do need to extend the state of local emergency for electoral area I from when it expired on the 12th of August, and we need to get that up to the 18th, which was yesterday, which was when all of our orders came off at 2 p.m. So without evacuation orders now, and only a small area left on alert, we can rescind that. So if we could get that motion, Mr. Chair, to extend from the 12th to the 18th for area I, that would be appreciated.
Okay, looking for a motion for that. Moved, seconded, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposition? Motion carries. Anything further on that, CAO?
Nothing from me, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Director
thanks,
Gittins?
Chair. I just wanted to confirm, I thought we were supposed to talk about the conservation fund.
It'll be in the closed session,
Right, yeah. Thanks.
a little later.
Yeah, you know.
No problem. Down to other business, the chair's report. The only thing I would have to report at this point is that I was able to yesterday make an appearance in Area D with Director Obrook and met with a few of his community groups and had some discussions on different issues, and I think it was quite worthwhile and went well. So thanks, Director Obrook, for setting that up, and I see it as a good way for the regional district on occasion to reach out and communicate with some of the concerns and community groups that just have a few words they want to say. Everything went very well, and it was actually an enjoyable day. So down to board representations. Nothing from the, Municipal Finance Authority. The next meeting is at UBCM. Same with municipal insurance. Anything from OBWD Director?
We haven't had a meeting this month.
No meeting this month, okay. Okanagan Film Commission, anything there, Director Gittins?
Yeah, their Take Two kickoff is coming up, and this is they're teaching local people about working in the film industry, and I think it's all sold out and everything, so they're doing really well. And other than that, it's going good. Busy.
Okay, thank you for that. Director Monteith has left us there for Okanagan Regional Library, so we'll catch that the next time. Anything from Sterile Insect Release, Director Bush?
Not much. The trappers haven't been catching any smoked beans. We're hoping that's a good sign.
Okay. Anything from Simia, Director Knodel? Director Knoll leave us?
Just have a little problem unmuting there. Nothing to report from Simeon.
Oh. Okay, nothing there. Starling Control Director Bush, nothing there either?
Oh,
I
mean,
the first, Sir was the first one.
oh, I got 'em mixed up, sorry.
Okay, well, give us the report on Sir this time.
Okay. Apple acreage is down drastically, and if it continues, this SIR program is gonna be in tough shape to keep up financially. They're trying to get the provincial government to add to the program like they did in the beginning. Oh, and also they purchased a chiller unit system for the rearing plant.
Okay.
They had a 60-ton unit there which couldn't keep up last year, and so they went to a 70-ton unit which they could put in without doing any more extreme costs. But the total cost is still $200,000.
Okay, thank you for that. Nothing under the fire chiefs, nothing under intergovernmental Indigenous Joint Council. Anything under the hospital district that you wanted to report on, Director Johansson?
Nothing to report on, just hoping to get a meeting with the Minister of Health, talking about expansion of existing primary care networks.
Okay.
So we're still waiting for that.
Waiting for word back?
Word back.
Okay, then I will go to Director Monteith. Anything in the regional libraries?
We're working on our CAO recruitment. I believe we'll be doing interviews soon and making a decision.
Okay, thank you for that. That brings us to F3, Director's Motions. Any notices of motions from anybody? Seeing no hands or anything there. Board members' verbal updates. Anything to report? I will go first to Director Gettens.
Great, thanks, Chair. So I think I just said that Okanagan Film Fundamentals was sold out. It's not sold out. So if you go to OkanaganFilmFundamentals.com, you can sign up, and it's all about networking and learning from film industry experts. If you want to get into this field, I understand it's a very fun field to be in, and it's good jobs, and they're trying to build our own crew in the South Okanagan so we can do all of the film production right here in the interior. So great opportunity. So check out the website. So again, it's OkanaganFilmFundamentals.com.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other verbal updates? Director Holbrook.
Yes, thank you to the chair, and two comments. The first, thank you very much to the chair for the meeting in community yesterday. We met on site, different areas, all the way to Vassal Lake, and so appreciated it. It was wonderful because I got to hear people say things differently because the chair was there, and it gives answers, it gives hope, but it also gives another way for people to understand things. So it was, I agree with the chair, it was very positive, very productive, very appreciated. And the second comment is the last evening in OK Falls, we had the filming of the CBC program, Still Standing. And I'll tell you, what an exciting and well done production. They were there from August 13 filming, but they did, well, the first time I was contacted was 2 years ago, 2020. They had a researcher do a lot of work. Special thank you to Gail Scott. Oh my goodness, she did so much work with CBC researchers, helping them identify stories. And the fruit of it yesterday, they had COVID protocols. It was over 3 hours, and they had 3 comedians open the show. Then Johnny Harris came on, and I just say, wow, it was so amazing. They gave special attention to Kenny McLean, who may be the best rodeo champion in the history of the world. 83, I think, championships. I didn't know this, but his first rodeo he won a championship. So one of the jokes was people say it's not his first rodeo. That was his first rodeo, and he won. When he passed, there were, I think, 82 or 83 saddles lined up for his funeral. So much respect to community. First Nations respected and addressed, salmon, and lots of humor about our community, the winery industry, wines. I can't wait. The show will be on air in 2023. Nobody knows the date. The suggestion by one of the comedians is if you want to be sure you don't miss, he said, put CBC on and watch it like continuously until then, and then you won't miss it. But nobody knows when it will air. So when I hear, I'll bring it back to the board. Hopefully I can do that. But what a big thank you. It was, I don't think I have in my whole life here seen so many happy, smiling faces in our community. And people I didn't know were there. They did a great job. Amazing. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear. Go ahead, Director Johansson.
Just let everybody know this is one of the biggest weekends that Oliver has. We've got our rock and roll picnic from 6 to 10 p.m. on Friday night. So lots of music and casket, all that's associated with that. So great opportunity to get some really good entertainment. And then from noon till 10 p.m. on Saturday, we've got our Roots and Fruits Festival. Again, music, entertainment, and food. Lots to do. And that's open to everybody. That one's free. The rock and roll is, you get tickets at the gate, but they might be sold out this year.
Those go fast, I've heard.
Yeah.
Director Sentes.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment that came from an observation. The Karamia Street fire started on the 29th, as we all know. I had a house full of company. My son is a contract helicopter pilot. He was assigned here. So there was great interest in the large group at my home. And the comfort zone from the communications, and I've spoken with Eric about this, the reference is just to Area I, Area H, you know, and we're comfortable with knowing what that means. But by and large, the general public is not. And so what I was asked for and then asked Eric to do is, while saying Area I, explain what that was, and just to give them, we have a lot of tourists here at this time of the year, and that's a language that's foreign to them. So just an observation to be careful. Our comfort zone, our knowledge isn't always what the rest understand. So to expand on that letter to say what exactly the area is. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I've seen a hand from Director Knodel. Go ahead.
Just like to do a shout out to the 1,000 Ride group that sponsored the concert here a while back for bringing people out of Ukraine. It was roughly $27 per person to get people out, and they managed to raise $800,000. And they're having a thank you barbecue and concert on the 27th at the Riverside Nursery in Oliver. An absolutely outstanding job that these people did to raise money and get young people out of Ukraine and to safety.
Okay, thank you for that. I've seen a hand from Director Coyne Senior. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. So this is just a little bit of a rant or whatever, but I just want to say, you know, it's the time of year, it's the time in our terms when everybody's got to do some soul searching and decide whether or not they're going to run again a new term that's up and coming. I was in the office the other day and it was pointed out to me that, you know, it's time to take out a package or not. So it's, this has been one heck of a ride for the last 4 years. Very difficult term to deal with. I don't think any elected politicians that are alive have had to go through what we've all done in the last 4 years. And it's kind of a shout out to everybody that participated, that we managed to get through it. There was some tense moments and maybe that's a good thing. You know, it's not everybody, there's very few people that will actually put their names forward to stand for public office. It's not very easy to be criticized and not do very much right in this world, even though you're doing your best. But just a real shout out to everybody that did put their names forward the last time and a lot of soul searching going on to whether or not we're gonna do it again. So anyways, just wanted to wish everybody the best in the upcoming months for the decisions that everybody has to make for their political future. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And seeing no other hands, I would just remind folks that the packages for nomination are available if you have made your mind up already or not. They are available. You can pick one up today on the way out if you so desire. That brings us down to item G, which is the closed session. Needing a motion to go in camera for that. Moved, seconded, thank you very much. All those in favor, thank you. No opposition, I'm assuming.